Have you settled the score about the drop chain?
No, it's written down.
It's Baden Cook. I completely forgot about Baden Cook.
He forgot about
I think it's a bit surprised that I won. There's not many occasions where you actually set a plan and they actually come off.
Hearing that from him, gives me goosebumps.
Cadell Evans cannot be beaten now.
This is the first time I hear Stewie and Andy side of the story.
And I took a cab home in the Magna Rosa, and the cab driver did not believe me. That was actually the pink jersey. Why the hell would you be in my cab?
What I've learned through my life is everything is just a phase,
It's a real pleasure for me to be able to come back and jump on here with you guys because I admire what you do. I really do.
Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of the Detour podcast. Apologies, we're 9 minutes late, but it's a John Trevorrow show. So we were stuck in traffic. We hadn't prepared it. He forgot his mic. He's cut his lip. It's all happening. So as always, joined by four-time national road champion from Australia, Johnny Trevorrow. We've got a couple of special guests. The voice of cycling, Phil Liggett, live on the ground at the Tour de France, and one of the biggest cycling nuffies you will meet, and that is the captain of the Melbourne Football Club. For those of you overseas, Aussie rules, one of the best sports in the world. Max Gawn, welcome, fellas.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, nice to meet Max as well. It's the first for me, Max. Good to meet you, mate.
Nice to meet you too, Phil.
Now, Iffy, what sort of lead-in can you give for Phil about Max?
Well, I can remember I've got to know Max the last couple of years at Tour Down Under because you're right, he is a cycling nuffy, but a bit more than that. I'm sitting there, we're having lunch at the bottom of Wollonga Hill, and we're talking about the race, and he starts telling me riders I didn't even know who he's picking to win. He actually picked the winner of the Tour Down Under. I didn't even know the bloke's name. So when it comes to knowing about the bike game, he's a legend. Probably the second best Melbourne ruckman that I've ever had any time with, Rob Barassi being the best, but a legend.
And Max, where did the love affair begin with cycling, mate?
That's a fair lead-in, Johnny. Thanks for that. Second best to Barassi. I'll certainly take that. Love for the cycling. I'm going to embarrass you, Phil, to start. You, the voice of an angel, put me to sleep when I was probably 12 years old to 19 years old, just watching a tour. Putting to sleep has negative connotations. You didn't actually bore me to sleep, but you. I had you on in the background while I was trying to go to sleep, and then I just stayed up and just watched it nonstop. Sort of my era of that would have been Contador v Cadell v Schleck, sort of that sort of era. I just missed the land stuff. I find it interesting going back and looking at it, but I just missed sort of that era. So I've had a couple of knee recos, Jonesy, that made me get into cycling. So I'm not a figure four cycling, maybe on the track potentially, but I'm 110 kilos and 208 centimeters. So going up any sort of gradient is not my cup of tea, but the sport I love.
And since we last spoke with you, Phil, there's been plenty of action at the tour. How have you found this last week?
Oh, it's just continued what happened in the first week. This tour has just gone from better to better. I mean, even yesterday when we were racing towards Po, into the breakaway goes a teammate, Adam Yates, of Tadej Pogacar. Now, if that break had worked, we would have had Adam Yates back up in the position probably where he finished last year, which was third in the tour. It was a great tactic. I'm not sure they planned it as a tactic. What we saw was an incredibly quick race. These last 3 days, these riders have been coming home between 15 and 35 minutes ahead of schedule. 162 kilometers yesterday before the mountains in 3 hours and 37 minutes. They were flying. It was a brilliant day to race. I hardly felt I'd sat down at the start line before I was standing up and saying goodbye to everybody. It's been a great tour. Goodness knows what's going to happen outside my window. I'm going to swing round. You might get a glimpse of the mountains up there. Just tell me if you can see those, boys.
Oh, beautiful.
Sensational.
I didn't even know I was up here last night. It was dense fog down to about 20 meters. This morning, I said, wow, I really am in the mountains because they weren't there last night. No, I think we're in for one big battle for 2 days. And I see quite a dropout rate in the tour too, because we've still got 159 riders left.
Now, I was talking to you yesterday, Maxie, and you were swinging. You'd been all going for Pog to win this Tour de France, but yesterday you've jumped on the vinegar train.
I have. I've got holes sort of in all of them. To be honest, like Pog, I don't know. I mean, I've never rode the Giro and Tour double, so I couldn't tell you what it does. But watching Geraint Thomas do the Tour this straight after the Giro, he looks like he's struggling. So Tadej beat him by 10 minutes. Surely Tadej is going to struggle at some point. So yeah, I'm all on Jonas. All on Jonas. I think he blitzes them in this third week.
And you, Phil, what do you reckon?
Well, look, we know that Tadej just loves racing his bike. He doesn't premeditate anything, except he does plan his little attacks, thoughts when he gets in the mountains. But take us back to the stage on the Col de Galibier, stage 4, I think it was. We were on that climb. And Vingegaard dropped time, couldn't answer the attack of Tadej Pogačar. Pogačar won the stage, of course. And all the journalists said, well, you're not going as well as last year to Vingegaard. And Vingegaard said, hey, I thought I did pretty well. You know, I'm very happy with my performance. I haven't lost the Tour here, and the mountains are coming. And his form has changed. Ask me this question 5 days ago, I'd have said Pogačar will win. Ask me now, Vingegaard is going to win this Tour, I'll tell you.
Do you think, Max, the hardest thing with Pogačar is knowing that his form's on the down compared to Vingegaard coming up? How is he going to contain his racing style, like keeping energy in the tank?
Yeah, I've got a couple of mates that are keen Pogačar lovers, and they sit there and they go, "How about he just sits on Vingegaard's wheels for a little bit, and let." I mean, he's wearing the yellow, so technically he could just sit on Jonas and make Jonas still, but it's just not how he rolls. And I think that could end up being his Achilles heel if his form's on the down and he just keeps attacking. I feel like that's his Achilles heel, but potentially he can't sit on Jonas's wheel going up some of these third week climbs as well, though.
I think today is going to be a really, really crucial day. You have a look at there. It is a monster of a day up to Tourmalet and finishing on the Plat d'Attack, which is where Phil Anderson got his first yellow jersey back in 1981 with that great duel with the Badger. And it is a monster day. And I reckon we'll find out whether it was just an aberration with the Pog the other day. He did look, as I said, a bit pale. Might have been a little bit of hunger flat. He didn't eat properly. You know, we'll see. I reckon we'll learn a lot today. I don't reckon he'll be as attacking. That's why I've gone for Simon Yates as my pick today. I reckon he'll jump away near the end and they won't chase him because he's far enough down. So be someone like that, I think, who could win today.
Well, I think the punters agree because, Simon Yates is only paying about Simon Yates is only paying about $8, and I've tipped him to about 50 people. So if he doesn't salute, I am absolutely sweating bullets. So, but sorry, Phil, I cut you off, mate.
No, you didn't. Yeah, as Matt told us last time, he was back to 100%, and I think he's ridden like he's changed his attitude this last week because he had a bad opening week of the Tour. He was sick. Yeah, it is a mountain, but I just think the in battle will stop all that. I don't believe that they might get away early on, but on the battle climbing up Plat d'Attack after the crossing of the Tourmalet, I can't see anybody left at the front except the top two riders. Evenepoel is a guy in his first tour. He's a young lad. I don't see he might make the podium. Sadly, we lost Primož Roglič yesterday. They were still very afraid of Primož Roglič until he lost his final time yesterday in that crash. The day before, rather, and couldn't start yesterday. They were generally still worried about him. You never write off Roglič. He's a late starter and a fast finisher over a period of 3 weeks. But I think right now, you see a two-man race over the Tourmalet, and they'll keep knocking all shades of poo out of them all the way to the finishing line on Plat d'Attack. I don't think anybody else will get a look.
Now, I've been loving watching, Benjamin Gamay, what he's been doing, 3 stages. But it's just, I mean, people were saying early on, oh, look, he's not really a sprinter. It's going to be a tough finish, but he's been proven that he's very much a sprinter. Not built like one, but gee, he's been going quick. It's been wonderful watching those sprint battles over the last couple of days.
Yeah, well, with the wins come the confidence. He's always had the actual ability. He was in this race last year, you know. I didn't mention his name once. It was his first tour. This year, once he got his stage 3 win into Turin, his confidence came flooding. And, of course, the team has never won a stage of the Tour de France. They now had a stage winning the Tour de France. And they are riding as a team probably as good a better than anybody else in the race. They're always around him and they want to take him to the line. And he's bouncing off that confidence of the whole squad. Well, mind you, you've got to see the pictures over in Eritrea. They are literally dancing in the streets, firecrackers going off. They chant his name, Binni, Binni. He's done so much for the country, and everybody wants to ride a bike over there now. We might see a few more coming over soon.
Now, I was going to ask Maxi, a lot of there, because we have thousands of overseas fans who won't know much about you, but you've been a legendary ruckman for the last couple of years with Melbourne. Matter of fact, you've been dominating, but you're a bit injured at the moment. You've got a little bit of a chipped knee. How's that going?
Yeah, I chipped ankle actually. Chipped my when you're in Aussie rules. For those who don't know, you can sort of smother someone's kick. You can dive across his leg, and this young star from West Coast, Harley Reid, dove across my leg and chipped my ankle. So I'm in a moon boot at the moment. I've actually come in just to do some weights because we play tonight against the Bombers. So I've just come in to do some weights beforehand, just to hopefully just a week, Johnny. Hopefully just a week or two. Which sounds, after I just said I've got a break in my ankle, it sounds like it might be longer. But they are promising me that it's not an important break in my ankle. There's apparently some less important parts of your ankle.
Is the positive side of that with your sleep patterns with the tour on, you know, you can get to training a little bit later?
Yeah, well, what I normally do is I normally watch an hour or two, then go to sleep, and then wake up and stay away from my phone and just watch the hours that I missed. But I can't get to sleep at the moment because the break can't get away. So it's actually not. So it's probably handy that I'm not playing at the moment. It was easy to get to sleep when no one decides to get in the break in those 2 or 3 sprint stages. But last night I was up all night.
Oh yeah, it was on for young and old with those crosswinds. Now, one other rider, Phil, we've obviously spoken about, Mark Cavendish. He's equaled the record. Oh, he's taken the record. Sorry, but he hasn't looked great form. You know, not being thereabouts with the other sprinters. Do you think he's really just going to be focusing now on the Champs and just really surviving? Oh, not the Champs, in Nice, sorry, or the sprint stage beforehand?
Well, he might be. I mean, I think his next ambition is just to finish the tour, personally, because he's never a quitter. And what's left on this tour is not good for him. He's going to have some horrible days from starting today. His whole persona, though, has changed. This guy is walking around, he's strutting around the Tour de France. He's very happy. He chats for everyone. He's out first. He's on the stage first. He talks. You know, ever since we started in Italy, where the guy said, do you speak Italian, Mark, on the stage in front of all the crowd at the launch? He goes, yeah, I'll give it a go. Speak it. He's fluent. And the crowd loved him. From that moment on, that tour was his. And I think that, look, I don't think he can win another stage. I really don't. But, you know, I didn't say he could win his record stage either, so I'm not much of a forecaster there. Having said that, his team decimated now. They took a hell of another knock in the sprint finish yesterday. Half the team's gone home. Michael Morcott's gone home with COVID. For me, I think it was a premature decision. There were guys riding the race with COVID. It's not the disease it was a couple of years ago. He's got no symptoms. He just took the routine test and they said, you've got COVID. And so the management decided it wasn't worth risking his health. So he went home. But there are some riders riding this race who have got COVID. So I don't know. I don't think he can get through that pack as well as he did on that one day. And, you know, people are still very unkind. People are saying that stage was fixed to get him the record victory. That's unthinkable. It's a race with, as it was then, 174 cyclists. Say, right, lads, let him win. Absolutely impossible. And when you saw the way he won from the helicopter, the way he weaved through the peloton, this guy genuinely won his record tour. But I don't think you get him.
Have you spoken to Cav since his record-breaking victory? Because the footage of you on NBC has gone viral, mate, because it was an emotional call for yourself.
Well, I felt I made a pat of myself crying like that. That's ridiculous. But it was emotional. I mean, I believe SBS has done a whole compilation running every one of the victories except the 35th, 34th. I've lost count now. On television, which is very kind of them, because I was so privileged to have done every one of his victories. And that hit home when the presenter on NBC, Paul Burmeister, just came to me and said, "Phil, you've called every one of his wins," and I choked. But I'm not ashamed of it. I love Mark. He lives very local to me, and can you believe I've never seen him where he lives near me, because he often lives in Europe as well. And hey, I haven't spoken to a single cyclist except Luke Durbridge since this race began, because we're never anywhere near them. I'm sitting up a mountain here, 40 minutes from where I go to do the television commentary, and another 25 minutes from the top of the Plat d'Adet where they go to finish the race. And then as soon as they finish the line up on the Plat d'Adet, cross the line there, I say goodbye to the viewers, pack my bags, and drive another 200 kilometers to the next mountain. We never see anybody on the Tour de France. It's a lonely old life, really. But I have a French driver who's quite a character. So
could be worse, Phil. You could be back here. It's bloody freezing cold in Melbourne at the moment.
Luke said to me, I walked out the lift straight into him. It's pretty cold here last night. It was down to about 8 or 9 degrees. I mean, the weather's crackers. I'm just hoping, it looks lovely out there today, and I just hope they don't get rain, because it'll take its toll on the riders if we start to fall off and get cold, miserable. You don't expect it in July, you know. But this is the finish. Luke, as I walked out the lift, Luke Davis was out. I said, "Hi, Luke, how you going?" He says, have you been on all the race? I said, "Yeah." Because I just don't see anybody. It was a coincidence that night. We're staying in the same hotel as the Biniam Gamai and also the Jayco team. I didn't see anybody else, by the way, except Luke. And even though I was in the same hotel, they hide.
Now, Maxie, I know you've got to go shortly, so really appreciate you coming on. Now, a few of the Melbourne boys are into the cycling. I know that my mates at Factor have got a few of the boys on their Factor. They reckon they can't get you off your Giant, though. But I think they're working on it.
Yeah, no, the Factor boys, I think there's 4 or 5 of them that rocked up with brand new, shiny new Factors a couple of weeks ago. They went for a little ride with Simon Gerrans, actually. And I think there was 2 crashes. And all they're doing was riding Albert Park Lake. So I'm not sure if they're skilled enough to be out there on the road yet, but they're making a start, which is good. There is a couple. I've got myself and Ed Langdon have been riding for a while now. We're actually, believe it or not, I've signed up to do 4 days of mountain biking in Saudi Arabia in November. So myself and Ed are going over there to do that. And hopefully we come back in one piece.
Oh, fantastic.
Fascinating.
Now, is there anything...
How far are you going to be riding each day?
It's about 100 a day. And there's actually, I think Peter Sagan's coming, so that's going to be cool. I don't think I'm going to be on Sydney's wheel for long, but hopefully I can say hi to him at the camp over dinner and chew his ear off.
Just lead him out, mate.
Yeah.
Now, before we let both of you go, is there anything you want to ask Phil, Max, given that you're a big fan of the sport? Any insights you want to get from the voice of cycling?
Yeah, were you worried about Keno taking your job early in the day?
No, I got him the job.
You got him the job.
Yeah, it's a long story with Matt. We became friends. He is a darn good commentator, and that's what liked me. At the time on the Tour de France, Paul Sherry and I needed a voice. We tried two other people over a period of 3 years, and frankly, they weren't good enough. So we thought, let's give Keno a try, because the organisation wanted more commentary, and we had to transfer to our other networks. Got a bit crowded. So poor Keno took the job of doing the coverage from the gun, and then 50, 70 kilometres left to go, hand over to us. I always felt bad about that. The guys built the race up, and then we get to do the glory of calling the last 50, 70 kilometres. And that went that way for a while. And then as Matt it wasn't a case of Matt improved, it was a case of how we worked it in. Then the handover came, and then, of course, SBS made other decisions because they had Matt's voice on international feed. He had an Aussie voice now. And so that's how it happened. Oh, Matt and I are still friends. We still have long chats together. Although he's one guy, but I haven't seen him since stage 1, and he's only 50 metres away in his commentary box. I've just never seen him. It's a bit crazy here. But let me ask you a question though, because I'm very good friends of David Zacharakis. Do you know him?
Yeah, he's actually into cycling at the moment, I think. Is he triathlete?
He's gone for this. Yeah, we're real friends because you see, the village next to my village is called Essendon. And when I met David at a function in the Australian Embassy in London, he also was interested in wildlife in Africa, and that's how we got talking. So I said, hey, you must come to my house, David, because I live in a village called Essendon, and my pub flies the Bombers flag. He goes, bullshit. I said, come out to me and I'll show you. So I tipped the pub off. I said, look, I'm bringing this guy called David Zacharakis, plays the Essendon Bombers. He said, to the pub. That's all I said. And then I took him with the picture on the village sign. He was holding up Essendon, Then we went down the road to the pub, walked in the pub, because we fly the Essendon Bombers flag, which was given me by the Deputy Police Commissioner of Victoria years ago. And he put it in the pub. And so we went in, and he got a round of applause off the locals, all bloody farmers. And he said, these guys can't know me. He says that they know your club. It took him, and he said they had the latest polo-necked Bombers shirts on, which he didn't know where they got them from. I didn't know they had them. I'd never seen them. And then within 1 hour, he was pulling pints in the pub like a veteran. What do you want, mate? Yeah, pint of bitter. He just settled in there, and he loved the place, and the pub loved him. So that was how I met David. Since then, he's been many times with me to Africa. And
that's unlike an AFL player to feel comfortable in a pub.
Well, I don't.
Story, I've been to that pub, Phil, your local pub, and they didn't cheer me; they threw me out. So what's
they would never throw you out. They'd never do it. But you're right. I know what you're alluding to. No, they made him so well, we could not believe he shook his leg. Since then, we've been.
Before we let you go, Phil, we've got a live comment from the States. Christopher Stapleton says, thank you, Phil and Bob, for commentating another great Tour de France, and thanks to the whole NBC broadcast team as well for showing the Tour de France to the world. So you've still got plenty of fans, mate.
Honestly, I don't know why I'm getting so old, but the letters are in every day. I got stopped by a lady from Melbourne yesterday. I reckon I couldn't put a real age on, but she could have been 65, but she was as fit as a flea. Then she was by, I said, you by yourself? She said, yes, I'm from Melbourne. I just wanted to see the finish here in Pau. I've got great memories in Pau. And she said, then I'm going to ride up to Luxembourg. I said, what? Luxembourg's way, way north. And she's riding from Sète, which is way, way south of France. And she was riding on a bike over the next 10 or 12 days, I think she said, just because she could. And I get stories of members of the public every day. They just want to say hello. I'm happy this stuff. Hey, there can't be many tours left in me, so better make the most of it.
Suck it up, mate. Well, we appreciate you boys coming on the show. Iffy, before we let him go.
Well, I'll just say we're at the Fat Chef restaurant out in North Coburg, and behind Dan you can see.
The smell's amazing.
Window, yes. So we're about to have the oysters getting delivered and everything. The owner of the place here, Paul Richards, is an old valley boy, not that old, but generation after me. But he was a handy junior cyclist, state champion, and all of that. And he's done a fantastic job with this restaurant. And he's opening a big new one, which we're going to go and visit in a few weeks. We're going to have another podcast from his. If we don't wear our welcome out today at his Fat Chef, but I'm looking forward to that as well. But look, thanks heaps, Maxie and Phil. I know, Phil, you've got to head off to get to the stage finish.
First, obviously, to get off this mountain and down to Saint-Louis-sur-Londe. Yeah. The traffic is better. Hey, well, the best of luck, Maxie. I hope you get your ankle fixed and get back in the action there.
Thanks, Phil.
If you bump into Zacharakis, say hi to him. He's a super fit athlete. He's aiming to do the World Championships triathlon.
Yeah, I might see him on the road at some point. I actually they're going up the Tourmalet tonight. I actually rode the Tourmalet 7 or 8 years ago. I got an interest in it took me obviously triple the time that it'll take the boys tonight. But I rode up the Tourmalet, and I started at the village below, so I didn't do any sort of lead in at all. I rode about 60k for the day, and on my way down, my brakes absolutely shot, and I had to ride back up for another 15-minute climb back up. I got a lift off the guy who owns the cafe up the top. And he drove me back down to the village, me and my bike, and I think it was a Barina or something. It was an interesting look, that one.
Good stuff.
I'm sorry I've got to miss, guys.
No worries.
The driver's downstairs.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Max.
Thanks, Maxie. Really appreciate it.
All the very best. All the best, guys.
Whitey's coming on in a minute, so
Well, he'll tell us the secret of the day. I'd like to have heard him. He's always pretty good. Good stuff. Watch out.
Good stuff. See you, boys.
See you later.
See you guys.
See you, boys. All right, Phil Liggett and Max Gawn, and as you said, Matt White, he's been waiting patiently, and he's here now, so he joins us live. Whitey, welcome back to the detour, mate. Thanks for joining us.
How are we?
I'm nervous, mate, because I've tipped Simon Yates about 50 degenerate punters all across Victoria, and geez, there's pressure, mate, because as I said, if he doesn't salute, I'll be at the bottom of the Bass Strait tomorrow. So how is Yatesy feeling?
Yeah, good. I think he's definitely over his illness, and he's ready to have a go today. But there's a lot of stages between now and Nice that suit him. But the tricky part of some of these stages, especially like today, is the kilometres on the flat. One is the kilometres on the flat to launch a little fella into the move like that. And because it's going to be it's not going to be easy to make that break, and there'll be a lot of people moving in that first 70k, so first hour and a half. And then the other one that's out of our control is what are the tactics of the two big teams? Are they going to go after the stage win? Are they going to let it fly today and more concentrate on tomorrow? The UAE tore the race up and themselves the other day. And maybe they might have changed may change their tack for today. So anyway, we're in a good place. We've got Chris Harper and Yatesy looking to move, and then also obviously on these stages the big boys really can help them out trying to make the move.
Yeah,
well, I see that
sorry, mate.
You're going through Iffy's favourite part of France, the 37k mark, Lourdes. We used to really love staying in Lourdes. You'd always get accommodation, and hopefully you'd find a miracle.
Well, that's where I'm speaking to you from this morning, Dan. I'm at the Mercure. I'm in the Mercure Lourdes.
Yeah, it's an interesting spot, isn't it, for people that haven't been?
An eclectic mix of people there. It's the Mecca it's the Mecca for Catholics. Here in Lourdes, we're here 2 days actually.
Well, there's plenty of accommodation.
Yeah, there is. I think it's in all of Europe the highest density of hotels per kilometre.
Iffy.
Yeah, I got a message from Melinda and Rick Harper last night saying, "Where are you, Johnny? We need you here, entertainment." But so they're with you, of course. Their son, Chris.
They just came back in last night. They were here for a few days in the first week, and then they ducked off to Andorra, spent a couple of days at Chris's place, and they drove in last night. And I'm not sure. I think they're following the rest of the tour around.
Now, when I spoke to you the other day, you were saying how the COVID was becoming an issue. It was seriously going through the teams, and we've seen the results of that with a few having to pull out. You guys have managed to dodge a bullet there in the last week.
Things are going okay.
Okay.
Nothing to see here, mate. It's all good.
Yeah. No, like most teams, we've had some people be affected, but we're on the good side of that now, so that's the main thing.
I noticed even a few of the riders, Vinegar, warming up with his mask on. So they're obviously not just worrying about the fans on the side of the road. They're worrying about, staff with all the different teams and that. So when you see a guy warming up with a mask on, you know that it's a real concern.
Yeah, there's definitely a big wave going through Europe at the moment, and it looks like it's super spreadable, but it's not hitting people as hard as obviously a couple of years ago. But they actually the ASO sent a warning out 2 days ago that there's a big gastro going through the ASO and their staff. So the guys like Vindegaard, if you look at how close the interviewers are, and he's just thinking, whereas Pogacar had COVID 2 weeks before the tour, so he's not going to get it again. Whereas, you just need a little bit. Imagine if one of the big guys. Well, Ayuso went home yesterday, didn't he, from COVID? But they're just taking the ultimate precautions, which depending on which virus and how close you get to people, you can help yourself a little bit. But they're pretty paranoid, as you would be when you've got the potential winner of the Tour de France in your roster.
Now, everyone's been talking about becoming a 2-horse race between the Bog and Vinegar, but so people are sort of forgetting about Evenepoel, who's still running second in this bike race. How do you think he's going to go over the next week?
I still do see it, like you said before, I see it as a 2-horse race. I was actually looking forward to the battle between Roglic and Evenepoel for the podium. And now there's a bit of a buffer, I think, back to Rodriguez, who's in 4th. But I would think if Remco can hang on to the podium, he'll do a good job. Look, he's a pretty volatile sort of a guy, isn't he? Like when he's on, he's an incredible athlete. And then what you saw last year at the Vuelta, which I have and they gave no explanation for. All of a sudden, he lost 15 minutes on one of the mountain stages, and then went on a rampage between there and the finish winning stages. So, he's still pretty new at the GC game. I know he's won the Vuelta, but I don't see him threatening Vingegaard or Podge, and I do see probably by the end of the day today that Vingegaard will be up into second place, and it'll be more of a battle for the top 2 places, and then a battle for third to fifth, for the 5th or 6th, depending on who can stay consistent in this last half of the race.
Now, it was good to see Bling's form coming good at the right time in terms of he was up there in the final yesterday till about, 700 to go or whatever. How's Bling travelling at the moment?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. I think the thing with Bling this year is that a lot of the stage profiles don't suit him that well this year. There's probably they're either sprint stages have either been sprint stages or they've been not. Whereas those typical little uphill kicks and stuff, there's only been one of those, and he had a rough day on that one. I think he'd be probably looking to get through as easy as possible the weekend, and then maybe look for it. There's a stage 18's not a bad one for the opportunists. There's a lot of climbing in it, but still, I think if his form is good, that would be probably his best chance at a stage win, unless Tuesday's another hard day. But I think Tuesday, it's the last day for the sprinters, and it's the last time you'll see Mark Cavendish sprint at the Tour de France, and there's a few other teams who have sprinters, and then obviously there's the green jersey battle, which is still going on between Philipsen and Grimet. So I think Tuesday, unless people pull out, sprinters get nailed this weekend. I think you'll definitely see a flat sprint on Tuesday, and then there's nothing for the sprinters after that, which is it's really strange. Usually there's always been Paris and that reason to suffer through the last week to have one more chance in Paris. But this year with the time trial in Nice, there is nothing for the big guys from Tuesday on.
Just noticed that there's been a little bit of a social media battle going on between the two Belgian sprinters in Wout and Jasper. So not a lot of love lost between those two boys.
No, there's not. Battle for the first Belgian. No, I think what I've found quite interesting here is just some of the rulings on these sprints. I found them challenging to understand. Actually, some of them, and I think Philipsen is he's a sprinter, he's a winner, but if you look at the rulings this year and the disqualifications that they've given this year, and then you go back and look at the sprints that he won last year, let's just say he wouldn't have survived too many of those off current rulings. So what all the teams and sprinters want is they just want clarity of if it's a rule, it has to be for everyone. And I think what probably also, this is the biggest race of the year, but in 3 weeks' time, is there going to be the same scrutiny on the smaller races? And at the end of the day, there should be. It's got to be a rule. It's got to be across the board, hasn't it? And I think where people get frustrated or teams get frustrated is when you see inconsistencies with the rulings.
One thing you talked about last time we had you on was the in-race radio for the broadcast. And, as a viewer, I love it. But I'm noticing that they are using it a lot more, which are giving away tactics. Like yesterday, I think it was Israel on the front. They say, no, keep driving it. This is good. We want to, isolate some of these GC guys or whatever. And you're going, well, hang on. That's sensitive info there. So I think they've missed the memo there, Whitey. So might have been a good move not getting involved with that.
Yeah, and I know sometimes they are putting on a little bit delayed, but there is there has been some pretty good nuggets that have come out of those little comments from the team cars where you actually I was thinking that, but now you've confirmed it, or actually no, they're going down another track. So yeah, like I said, I think it makes for good television, but. And I don't think you've got a say on what goes up and what doesn't. Obviously, they're going to try to protect the teams as much as possible. But if they protect the teams too much, what they say is pretty boring.
That's right.
It was an interesting day yesterday with that break, with Adam Yates getting in that break, which then created all the drama from the other GC team wanting to chase it down. And it worked out well for you because you guys missed getting in it. But what do you think they were doing, UAE? They really trying? It just happened that way, or what?
100%. That break just went off we started uphill yesterday, and that break went in the first 800 meters. So Adam was just in good position, and it went because it went uphill. He was just there and happened to be in it, which was a saving grace for a few teams. But I'm really curious to see what they do today, because they've got Almeida there and they've got Adam there. But are they going to use their numerical strength to put Jumbo under pressure? Whether is it today or tomorrow or next week? I'm sure they'll do it today in the next 2 days before the rest date. But to really put them under pressure, you need to put Almeida or Adam up the road, and then that forces. Well, that also takes them off the hook. But that'll force Quick Step to chase, Jumbo to chase, or Ineos to chase by moving those guys back above or threatening. No one wants to give Adam Yates another snip at the GC or Almeida. No one wants to give him an easy 1 or 2 minutes. So I think you'll see it in the next 48 hours. But how and when we'll see.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because if the POG is feeling the effects a little bit of and doesn't want to put pressure on. He'd be worried about getting to Nice with only this time gap for that final time trial after what Vinegar did last year in the time trial. So he'll want more of a gap.
100%. And look, he's a young man who does race a lot off impulse. Rumor has it that actually was sort of his idea to turn the screws and use his team the way he did the other day, because he felt good and he wanted to make a big statement and a big push. And we've heard that maybe it was a hunger knock or whatever. If it's a hunger knock, that's going to be that's rectifiable, and that's a mistake that you can rectify. And the wheels didn't fall off. But the big question is going to be over the next few days is, I know he came out of the Giro very well, and he was publicly saying that he felt the best he's ever felt coming into the Tour de France. But this is a very heavy back week, and Podge is at a very high level already, and he's not going to improve. But he doesn't need to, because at the end of the day, he's still the best here. But how good can Vingegaard get in this next 10 days? Because he's coming from a very different trajectory. So I think we're definitely going to have a big battle on our hands, and I think we're going to have a better idea who's the favourite in the next 48 hours.
Is a hypothetical for you, Whitey. If you were the DS at UAE, what would be your advice for the Snoop Pog in how to race this next block?
Yeah, I would let the brake fly today. I would let it go. That removes them from total pressure. Obviously once the brake is gone, you see who's in there on general classification. Other teams will chase because other teams are a bigger threat than you. Someone will sneak in there in the top 15, but at the end of the day, after I think it's 6th or 7th, it falls pretty far back. And then if on the second last climb, then I'd maybe, whether it's today or tomorrow, I would definitely try to put Adam or Almeida in a move that puts pressure on Jumbo. Now, whether you do it today or tomorrow is a different story. I would just turn into just racing against Vingegaard and putting the pressure on them to mop things up, and also put the pressure on them to try to get rid of for Vingegaard to try to get rid of Podge. So we'll see. It's 40 kilometres of climbing today in 150k. It's a big day out, and it's all in the back end of the race. But we're going to get a good indication of who the big favourite is, even in the next 12 hours.
Would you say the same thing, Iffy, or would you just go, "Righto, Pog, unleash hell, mate. Just go for it"?
Look, it's fascinating, isn't it? I agree with Matty completely in that it really the tables have turned. It almost is reversed what's been the last few days. Vingegaard needs to put some pressure on the other way to see whether it was just an aberration. Now's the time. Now's the time.
Yeah. Because then they're coming in here. I don't think people realise that this UAE team, there's never been a team come to the Tour de France. They have 4 riders who have podiumed the Grand Tour on the same roster. Adam Yates was podium at last year's Tour de France. Almeida was podium at the Giro, and Ayuso was podium at the Vuelta the year before. They're workers. Any other team here would be happy to have any of those 3 as their ultimate team leader, and then he's got those 3 at his disposal. So, and actually now Ayuso's gone home, and Adam is a little bit far off, but so I think making the most of their numerical advantage and their strength is what they should do. How and when they do it in the next 48 hours will be up to them.
Now, before we let you go, Whitey, I used to always find that the danger blocks mentally is stage 13 to 18 of the tour, because you're right in that sort of, the transfers are giving you the shits. I remember, Jerry would crack jokes on the bus and I wouldn't laugh. It was getting that bad. How are you traveling? How's the team? How the transfers been? Have you got much in the tank?
Yeah, good, mate. We obviously finished at Po yesterday, and we're starting at Po. So we had an hour 45. It took us an hour 45 to go 45k from bloody Po to Lourdes last night. So, and we've got to head back there in a minute. So that was, and some teams were staying on the finish line. So you win some, you lose some. But no, the morale of the team is good. I agree that I think more the staff start to get a little bit tired. And this, and because you are in the middle here, and I think once you get into next week and everyone can see the finish, it's a little bit easier. But no, everything's going good, mate, and looking forward to the weekend's racing.
Now, what about that great little hotel you used to always stay in Po, out in the industrial part of
Let's
Po?
Go.
It was Let's Go. But it was a great little place. What happened to that?
Yeah, they moved us. They moved us to Lourdes instead.
Yeah.
I know. Although the one good thing is we have had duck now 3 nights in a row.
with like an orange glaze.
Yeah, we've had it all. And actually, I got a present from Jerry actually yesterday. Because one of the other directors, he knows how much I like duck, so he got me a duck sausage. And I had that as a bit of morning tea out the road yesterday. And Jerry actually went to the shops yesterday in Lourdes and got me another one for the road today.
No.
I thought it was going to be a duck pie because we know you love pies too. I reckon they might do a duck pie around there too.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's no pie shops in Lourdes, mate. Maybe some rosary beads and maybe some rosary. But I've got one for the road today.
Are you still sending the Swannies out to get stuff from the caravan, the cochonu? Remember those little sausages? Or have your standards have gone up? Because that looks gourmet.
No, this is, well, there's enough mould on it to be gourmet. But I think, mate, to be honest, I think since that year we had the cochonu sausages, I think I went a little bit overboard. And I don't think I've eaten one since.
No.
But I have been out. I have been out in front of the race most of the days there with Avant course and giving course info. And I'd never seen the chaos that is the caravan until this year. And I've one time, a couple of times, I got stuck behind it, and they wouldn't let, one time they let me pass, which is an epic getting through the caravan. And a couple of times I got stuck behind it and behind one of the last floats, and just the commitment from the crowds for a $4 T-shirt or a hat, and like you got to be careful driving. You've got to be careful driving because there's children and old people and whatever. There's everyone, and they were running into the middle. If a sausage or a T-shirt or a hat doesn't make the side of the road, and it's on the road, car or no car, they're in there to get it. So it's a good atmosphere. I've never seen that side of the Tour de France until this week, but people will do anything for a freebie.
Well, if you're doing a Von course, just look for smoke. Take about a dozen extra team caps in the car, and you can trade. Like me and Jules, those years we'd get feeds, every 20K. Just look for smoke.
Cash is not needed. Just bottles or team caps, and you're good to go.
Kangaroo badges, mate. Yeah, they work a treat.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you checking in again, Whitey. And as I said, everyone is on Simon Yates today. But if obviously Harper can get in the move, as long as it's from Jaco Alula, mate, we'll be stoked. So, all the best for this next block, and we'll no doubt check in before we get to Nice. Yeah,
cheers, guys. No, there's a lot of climbing stages to come, and the good news is that Simon's over his health issue, and we'll do all we can to try to jag another stage again with him between now and Nice.
Thanks, Whitey. You're a legend, mate. Appreciate it, pal.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy your dinner.
Will do. The fat chef, mate. We are going to be eating big time. Matter of fact, they've already started without me over here.
I've prepped. I haven't eaten all day, so I've got a fair fang up.
Watch out, buffet.
That's it. So
we'll be watching about live tonight. 3 hours to kill before the race starts. I think 4 hours, and we're here at the Fat Chef. So
it's 1 o'clock. I think it's a 1 o'clock kickoff today. So you've got smack on 3 hours to go.
Yeah. So,
4 hours.
We'll be right.
Yeah.
4 hours.
If he's invited some professional drunks to get here in about 2 hours, so it could be on.
Yeah, the old detour mob coming. Dennis will be here, which will be a bit of fun and games.
Yeah.
And a few of the old characters. Duncan Smith, I think, is coming along, and it should be good.
It's all happening.
Awesome, guys. Enjoy.
Thanks, mate. Enjoy the sausage.
We'll do. I tied to my belt.
Good work, mate. Matt White, absolute legend, as you said. Now, before we go, Iffy, we got something special for the viewers, because I did a podcast with Mitch Docker that he released, I think, a couple of days ago on Life in the Peloton. It was all just sharing the old yarns. Now, obviously, you've been doing some great work on SBS, but obviously a lot more serious, telling stories of famous Aussies at the tour. In fact, I've got a clip of what you did with SBS talking about the yellow jersey. And given that you're getting a lot of positive feedback, I thought we'd give that a run first, and then we'll finish things off with a couple of detour yarns. So this is what's been running on the SBS coverage, talking about the Aussies in yellow.
Since its inception in 1904, only 8 Australians have donned the prestigious yellow jersey in the Tour de France. The first among them was Phil Anderson. In 1981, in his debut tour, the rider known as Skippy became the first non-European to lead the race. A monumental achievement for Australian cycling. Phil had never even seen the huge mountains of France until his first brutal ascent in the Pyrenees. And he astounded the French commentators by matching French legend Bernard Hinault, stroke for stroke, to race into the Maillot Jaune. Anderson's triumph remains a pivotal moment in the Tour de France history, signifying its evolution into a truly global sporting spectacle. 43 years on, 7 other Australians have been able to reach cycling's pinnacle. Phil Anderson's remarkable feats symbolise the enduring spirit of Australian cyclists who dared to chase their dreams on the global stage of the Tour de France.
Now that's the serious stuff. A very good piece they put together, Johnny.
Yes, Mark Fallahay put that together, and yes, I wasn't having a great day when we shot that, but he made me look good.
Well, what do they say? They rolled you in glitter. But we've told the story a few times. Like the Detour podcast, the name Detour is what you used to say back when you'd take Motley Cruz to the Tour de France. You'd call it the Detour de France because this is obviously pre-GPS days, and you had to rely on maps. So a lot of the time you get lost. And I was fortunate enough to come on the tour with you in 2005 when Lance was obviously going for his 7th tour. We pitched the idea 3 weeks before, and I didn't think it was going to happen. And then before I knew it, I'm on a flight to Paris, absolutely shitting myself, thinking, oh, no, there's nowhere to run now. Like, that's it. It
wasn't going to happen. The only reason it happened was 2 weeks before I got a call from Mike Tomalaris about something else. I said, gee, mate, and it was the first year they were live every day. I said, this is fantastic. He said, oh, if only we had a bigger budget, we need another crew to be able to get the starts and the finishes. And I thought, light bulb moment, Dan Jones, listen, I've got this young guy who wants to come along, a young filmmaker, aspiring young filmmaker.
Heaps of experience.
For you. Yeah.
He said, knows what he's doing.
He got a beta such and such a I said, yeah. He said, give me his number. So when I hung up, I rang you. I said, listen, you might be going. Have you got a beta such and such?
Digi better can.
Piss off. That's $85,000, mate. So you better find out how much to rent it. And from that, away we went.
And early days, I said on Mitch's podcast, we submitted the footage. It was shit. I went wide and there was cables, and I submitted the tape to Mike Tomalaris, who was the host for the live broadcast, and he cracked it and said, mate, have you ever worked in TV before? What the hell was that garbage? You know, and I just had to fess up and said, no, I haven't. All I've done is wedding videos, and even they were shit, if I'm honest. But I've clipped up some snippets. So one of the things, we did this doco, Detour de France, showed it at the Melbourne Film Festival. But what I used to love is ghosting you and Dennis, who's coming here tonight to the Fat Chef in Coburg. And you'd be on the Terps. And I remember in the doco, we ended up running it, where we filmed you guys. Dennis actually fell off the chair at the end of the night, and the local French guy was laughing. But then this introduces on the back end the character Bill Schwarzenberg, who called himself Bill Liggett, who was a very big character. And we'll go into a bit more detail with Bill, but this is a snippet from the Detour de France shot back in 2005.
Well, here we are in Tour, or Tours, as the Aussies would say. Day 4 of the Tour de France. Lovely, as you often find in a little rural village, a little Irish bar.
Now, we are going to pour the Eddie Merckx of beer. Eddie Merckx, the greatest cyclist. Hold on. Have a look. Show this gentleman the swimming pool. There it is. Now, the swimming pool is empty at the moment. Cathy, fill the swimming pool.
Okay. Big day, deep dive trial. Wonderful finish. Great media centre. Back to our beautiful hotel. Irish bar. Stuck back here. Couple of French characters. Dennis falling over. Yeah, it's just about a perfect day. They're explaining the Dennis fall over. It was a beautiful sight. Good.
stand here, have a look at the sunshine here. This is one of them great days in France. Anticipation, the peloton's on its way. Here they come, here they come! Holy mackerel, look at them all. They're whipping through, eh? They're going to split the roundabout, look at this. Eh? This is fantastic. Holy mackerel, who's out in front? I've got no idea. There's Neil Anderson. Holy mackerel. Oh, look at this little jump in the gutter, eh? Unbelievable. This is better than 6. Oh, you're a ripper. Go, boys.
There's some, it's just standard on the detour back in those days.
Those are the days, they say in the classics. Yeah.
Now, I've got a couple of other quick snippets, but before we do that, we'll go through some of the live comments. Wendy Superfan says, hi, Dan, John, Phil, and Max. This was a bit late. Z200 said, hello, Phil, big fan of your broadcast. We'll pass that on. Chris Stableson obviously said g'day from Ocala in Florida. Darren Chubb says, hi, John, always good podcast. Chubby Morwell.
Yeah, no, Chubby. Yeah.
Acefest says, if Vinegar can sandbag and get Pogacar to attack, he will be in yellow, zero doubt. Today we'll have to be wary. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think he's spot on. And that's exactly how I see it panning out. The one thing is that maybe today is not as tired as they all think. Maybe he was just a little bit hunger flat the other day. That's the big question when we'll get it answered over the next 2 days.
Yeah. Jan Borman says she noticed the face masks are back in many of the teams. COVID and illness in general must be a huge issue for the riders, plus probably still have cement in their lungs from the gravel stage.
Yeah, g'day, Jan, a good English friend of ours who used to catch up with every year at the tour. We're missing you, but next year we'll be back.
Yeah. Alex Woolley, Sandy, said he'll join Phil over in the mountains. And then we've got Ace Fest says attacking second-tier GC riders in the Giro solo is not the same as attacking Vingegaard solo when he's in full form.
Very true. Very true. Exactly right.
Yeah. And Ace Fest said Phil Liggett and Paul Sherwin were the greatest commentating duo ever. Obviously, they had some iconic moments.
Yeah, without doubt. Without doubt.
Catriona McDonald says, hey, guys, what about a live feed at the Fat Duck? We can't hear you. I can hear you all right. Is my audio coming through all right?
No, the Fat Duck is, that's not the Fat Chef, but maybe we will do one at the Fat Duck.
Yeah, I think, no, she's correct herself. She says, whoop, chef. Acefest, bold prediction, Remco cracks on one of the mountain stages and Almeida or Rodriguez get into third.
Yeah, I hope not, actually. A big chance that does happen. But look, he's such a legendary cyclist. Yeah, I think he will stay on the podium.
Yeah, and Stuart McIntosh says if he looks better in better nick now than 20 years ago, I'd agree.
Well, I had that weight loss program where I lost 35 kilos. It worked really well.
Now, one of the things with the detour is Bill Schwarzenberg as a character. He was larger than life, but you really did struggle managing the motley crew, particularly when there was problems. And there was always car problems. And then we had to ban Bill midway through the tour. And there was the famous stage at Courchevel. What are your memories of that, Johnny?
Well, I was hoping you wouldn't put it up, bring it up or whatever. But, you know, you can't. We had too many people. When you've got about 15 people, you can't keep your eyes on everybody. Sometimes I've just slipped through.
Well, I've got a 30-second snippet. It's not showing the worst of Bill, but it's up there.
5, 4, 3, 2, and then
We've got two problems here.
One is
got two
Bill.
problems. Bill's drunk. He's become a menace.
Under pressure.
He just flashed a brown eye. The police were going to arrest me because I'm the driver, because I'm carrying a drunk. No, Bill, it's not fun.
So we barred Bill from all interviews, and then we were left with Ron Howard on the final day of the Tour de France, Johnny. And I had no one else to interview him. And I said to Bill, look, there's a VIP there, mate. He goes, who's that? I said, Ron Howard. He goes, never heard of him. I said, what? You never watch Happy Days? He's a big-time director. He was over doing the Da Vinci Code. He goes, nah, I said, listen, Bill, just be on your best behaviour. Seriously, mate, like don't screw up with this guy. And this was the result with Ron Howard.
Here we are again, back in the village. You know who this is, don't you? Bill Liggett on the go. Come on, let's go. Wander over here. How are you? Can I pose on you for a minute? Sure. And I want you this young girl from Hey, great. I imagine you're a Russell Crowe fan? Absolutely. And, we're doing a doco on the Tour de France. Oh, great. Here it is here. And have you followed it at all?
I've been following it.
I love that. I saw you were pretty
taking advantage of the region there a little bit, but okay.
That was a relief because for those not watching it, Bill planted a kiss on Ron Howard's wife on each cheek, then one straight on the lips when he was told to be on his best behaviour.
Yes, could have been worse. Not much. It could have been worse.
Now, next time we do a detour, if he will, we'll run some of the snippets from the 2007 tour. But who's your predictions for tonight, Johnny? Are you on the Yates bandwagon, or what are you doing?
Well, look, I think because of the pressure going on our two big hitters, or the three of them really, I think a break will get away. How much they get, so. And whether, I think Simon Yates is a chance in two ways. One, if he stays with them and they all splits up, and he attacks from near the end, if his form's good, they won't chase him down.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think someone like Chris Harper is a big chance. If he gets in the break and he's climbing so well, he could go have a win from the breakaway. It's going to be a very interesting stage.
All right, we'll be glued to it here at the Fat Chef. If you're in Melbourne and you want to come down and have a look at it on the big screen, come down. It's Shop 11, 180 Gaffney Street, Coburg North. We'll be settling in and should be a good night, Johnny. Smells
come
fantastic.
and join us. You've got plenty of time. Anyone in Melbourne, come and join us. We're here until the stage finishes, and it's going to be a great night.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We'll see you again soon. Stay posted to our socials. We'll let you know when we're recording the next potty, and appreciate Trump and Biden for stepping in and helping with our socials as well, mate. It's been fantastic. All right, stay tuned. See you guys.
We absolutely cranked that. Fair dinkum. I haven't heard that good a voice out there since Barnesy days, mate. Barnesy. Mate, John Farnham. Like a kiddie house, mate. We smashed it, ripped it up. God, that was good.